Thanks for staying with us. Let's look at this issue now. Gauteng police are still searching for an unknown number of suspects following a spate of alleged gang-related shooting incidents which have left 5 people dead in Westbury and Eldorado Park. 4 people were shot dead in Westbury on Friday, while 1 was shot dead in Eldorado Park. Now, circumstances surrounding the incidents are still unknown at this particular stage. And of course, known Diepsloot is another area that's also been impacted. Let's speak now to SABC News reporter Nozintombi Miya. Nozintombi, thank you so much for your time. One thing that is worrying, before we even get to what's, in terms of law enforcement in these particular communities, is that these gangsters, the face is changing. They're getting younger and younger.
Yeah. It's almost like a subculture has developed within the gangs, because you'll recall the traditional gangsters are slightly older gangsters. They're more established. We do know now, with all the information coming about, it is historic anger and historic grudges that they've had against each other. One person shot a family member, they retaliate. So it's been retaliatory, ongoing gang violence. That's been the traditional overview of what it looks like. But this subculture that's developing, these young gang members are literally young. They're between the ages of 15 to 25. They're smart, they're strong, they're brave. They've been exposed to mafia movies. They've been exposed to different ways that people kill each other, to the extent that they have now developed their own way of killing each other. They're literally shooting each other in the faces. Why? Because they want to disfigure each other, because they're saying your family does not need to identify your body, because the people who love you or who loved you will be able to put your picture on their faces, on their t-shirts when they go and they bury you. That is, it's so bizarre that young children would come up with such a brutal way of killing each other. But it just shows you the changing nature of the gangsterism that's taking place in Westbury, in Eldorado Park. This weekend, what happened? These are young boys who literally brazenly walked up to each other in the full view of everyone at about 10 o'clock in the morning, where everybody is out and it is a weekend. So everybody is outside, families are outside, and they're shooting each other in the face. There was one boy who was shot 10 times in the face. His face was disfigured. He had to be identified using DNA samples.
Sure.
That tells you the extent to which the gangsterism is evolving. If police struggled already to get to grips with traditional ways of dealing with gangsterism, how now are they going to be able to deal with this evolved level of gangsterism?
And I suppose it's, listening to even some of the residents you've been talking to in the past few days, no wonder they're this terrified, because they also cannot comprehend what is happening before their eyes.
Yeah, undoubtedly. But, just to give you an idea of what the parents there are looking like. I mean, these are parents who are broken from the system. Many of them are abusing substances, either alcohol or drugs or some form of substance, and they have given up because they can't find jobs and they can't make a better life for their children.
All right, Nozintombi, I'm going to ask just for a second if we in fact, I do understand, I was about to take you to former President Thabo Mbeki. We do understand he was speaking, but we can continue with our discussion. Let's talk about the fact that right now, community members are sitting there. At some point we saw police moving in, police, patrolling some of these areas for their safety.
High police visibility.
Yeah, and after this was after the minister was there.
Yeah.
And what's happening now? Yeah,
Minister Bekile was in Westbury about 2 weeks ago. We know that Gauteng Police Commissioner was in Diepsloot last week to collect the memorandum. But again, this is the problem I have with the policing. It is a show of force. Big words are thrown about, promises are made. For that week, 2 weeks, there's some form of visible policing. It calms down. But then nothing then happens beyond that, because then the police go out in the areas. Police then decide they're going to have a raid in the inner city, or they're going to raid wherever it is that they're raiding. But they're not going to the source of where the gangsters are. They know the gangsters. They know where the gangsters are. They know where the hideouts are. Why are they not bringing in specialized task force to go in and infiltrate and dismantle the gangs from the inside? There is a clear difference between the traditional gangs and the new subculture of gangs. They need to find a different way, a fresh, innovative way of dealing with these gangs. We understand capacity is limited. Police are underfunded, overstretched, a litany of problems that police themselves do have. We understand. We need them to come up with fresh, innovative ideas on how to deal with the gangsterism issue. People are dying on a daily basis. Parents are afraid. Residents are terrified. They don't know where to turn. They are helpless. They're hopeless. How do you have a nation of people, of grandmothers and grandfathers that are hopeless, scared of their own grandchildren?
Yeah, and we're about to have this conversation, in fact, just to look at some of these solutions with some of the experts in this particular regard. But thank you so much for giving us that lay of the land of what is going on in these communities. That is SABC News reporter Nozintombi Miya, still on efforts to combat crime in the country.